talkers today, but more excited to have you on our show. And we're now live. Great. So, Brandon Steiner, welcome to Trading Card Therapy, episode number 23. And I think it's no coincidence that we are in episode 23. Many people think of Michael Jordan as the GOAT, and rightfully so. However, in my own humble opinion, I believe that you are one of the GOATs of the sports memorabilia industry, and it's an honor to have you on our show today. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And you've done pretty well yourself. So I've been watching you from afar, and it's amazing your view on the trading card business. There's nobody breaks it down and breaks it up and breaks it every which way than you. So I'm loving it. I'm still loving the business and very grateful, that to see the business evolve and see people doing the right thing. It seems like there's a lot more of the right thing going on in the business now than ever, especially compared to when I first got into it.
Yeah, well, speaking of which, I know you've given probably hundreds, if not thousands, of interviews and podcast appearances and such. But if you don't mind, for our audience here, and realize that our audience is made up of folks from Just Collect and Vintage Breaks and OTO Sports, meaning a lot of hardcore hobbyists. They may be vintage folks, they may be modern folks, they may actually be memorabilia guys. But I know one thing, they respect a brilliant mind, especially in a space that they all love. And so if you don't mind, if you can give us a few minutes just about your beginnings and how you ended up, roughly where you are in the space today.
Well, I mean, listen, I started Steiner with $4,000. And I only say that because I know there's a lot of people out there just getting started. And you'd be surprised how far things can go. And, when you put your mind to it. And obviously Steiner was a great company, 30 years building that company up, and millions and millions of autographs, millions and millions of signings. It was a great run. I have a different view on the business now, but nobody started off with less than what I had. I mean, I was definitely the poorest kid in the neighborhood, and I wasn't even in that rich a neighborhood. And then, I always think you're not poor. Your circumstances may suck, but you don't suck. You're fine. And I always felt that way. Like, even when I had my ups and downs when I was building Steiner, because things happen, players get traded, teams, leagues, strikes. There's so many factors what makes the sports business so exciting. And I think that, you got to, if you go into it knowing there's going to be some ups and downs, then when you face those ups and downs, you're prepared for it. If you think that getting in this business is going to be easy and it's just all fun, and games, playing sports is playing games is a pretty serious sport. The sports thing is real serious. When I got in the business, people say, this sports thing, it's really a business? I'm like, yeah. So, I had a lot of ups and downs. I had the great run with the Yankees, Notre Dame, Alabama, the Mets. I mean, I did all the team partnerships. I think that's probably the thing I'll probably be remembered, that and selling a lot of dirt. But, 20-year relationship with Jeter, Mariano, EY, Peyton Manning. I mean, it was, really when I think about the peak of it all, like back in 2004, 5, when I had like 70 or 80 athletes on the contract, all, tons of Hall of Famers, Ripken, Ali. I mean, it was just crazy. But I look at it now and I really think that was a great run. I love that company, but I always wanted to disrupt it. And my Collectible Exchange now is more of a marketplace. And one of the reasons I was very gung-ho to do this, even before I left Steiner, and we know how big Fanatics is and how dominant they are, but I think it's a collector's business now. I've really learned, I've always respected the hobby, always. No matter how big I got, I never turned my back on the hobby. I always felt there's somebody in Iowa, there's somebody in Pennsylvania that's going to tell the story, that's going to be able to articulate what's going on with this incredible collectible or trading card better than I can. And I think now that's a lot more and a lot bigger than that. I've really learned to respect the hobby because there's some great collectors out there. There's some people there that are doing this, maybe not on the Steiner or Fanatics or Panini level, but they're doing it, man. And their creativity, their genius is right up there. I mean, I've been really impressed with what I've seen around the country. So my platform just gives all those people an opportunity to use my platform, because a lot of them don't have the ability at the time to do the marketing and promotion. My job is to go create a platform that people that want to be in this business, that are in this business, can showcase their coolest stuff, not worrying about how to market it, and also not how to worry about marketing them. I'm big on marketing them. I'm big on marketing, Joey in all the way in some small town in Massachusetts who's come up with some really cool products and some art stuff or whatever. And I kind of look at myself as kind of, hopefully, like the Alibaba of sports collectible, that kind of platform that gets behind its vendors, doesn't try to blow them up, doesn't try to take what they're doing so I can do it and I can make all the money, but just really gets behind the marketing and promotion and just gets behind all these different product plays and shows them how to get to the customers. And that's my job. So I'm hopefully, I'm halfway there. It's very daunting. I got to tell you, like, I'm 62. Obviously, I've done really well, and I'm very grateful, very, very grateful, particularly for my customers and the people that have supported me all these years. I don't take it for granted. I know that there's a lot of different ways that people could have gone. They went Steiner, and now they're finding their way to Collectible Exchange and we're Athlete Direct. On Athlete Direct, we're kind of helping players sell their stuff directly with some of their game use and stuff. I think we have 80 players, Leighton, pretty good. But
that's really good.
It's daunting, though, when you start something from scratch. Like, I forgot how hard it was. I feel like I'm in my 20s. You got to come up with a logo. You got to get space. You got to get marketing. You got to hire people. It's so it's been kind of like a second evolving.
Life. Yeah. No, listen, that's wonderful to hear that, let's be honest, right? Everything in life doesn't come down to dollars and cents. So the fact that I, not only when I met you in person, but I can feel it even on our show today, that you've literally been re-energized by something that you already had a love and a passion for, but you're now effectively, if I'm hearing you properly, and I spend some time on Collectible Exchange, and I know we're trying to do some business between our companies, it's very exciting, but really what you're doing, Brandon, is you're enabling people. You're enabling them to, whether it be its art, whether it be its product, or, and I know a lot of our customers, and I want them to hear this loud and clear, we have no formal agreement, but I believe in helping the end user, the customer. I know that Brandon wholeheartedly feels this as well. So if you're a collector out there and you said, hey, Leighton, can you help me? And I'll say commonly, Brandon, I can buy your cards, but if you have memorabilia, it's more voluminous, it's more difficult. Well, check out Brandon and his team at Collectible Exchange. I don't know exactly how it works, and we can talk about that in just a few minutes, but he's helping everyone, meaning not just an artist, not just a product designer, but someone, as he's saying, that's in the middle of, Arkansas or Wyoming or California, and maybe, just maybe, that you're a niche collector of, I'm making it up, but first day covers. And you have a vast collection of signed first day covers, not just of sports, but of astronauts. And one thing I can tell you, not just about Brandon, but myself included, we respect these niche collectors, right? Who have, for example, put in 25 years. Like if they say to you, I know more about first day covers than you and I will not hesitate. We know, we can see it in their eyes. We can see it in their collection. Let's hear what they have to say. And you're going to work together collaboratively, it sounds like, to bring their collection to market. And that's wonderful.
Just like with you, I love the depth and the knowledge you have of vintage cards. There's nobody probably in the country now. You're one of the leaders. And rather than me trying to figure out how to maybe I could do that, I'm loving the collaboration. Which you think about where if you really have a small website, you know how hard it is to drive traffic. How do you get into the bigger arena? But you deserve to be in the big arena. I was talking to somebody who had about 10,000 items in his store. He had a little store, 1,500 square feet. He used to buy from me at Steiner, and now he's bought a bunch of stuff, and he's putting up stuff on my site. And I'm like, you deserve to be in the big arena. You're an incredible collector. You bought collections. You got stuff from Babe Ruth all the way up to today. And the quirkiest stuff, including cards and everything else. You deserve to be more than just the guy in a small town who has a small little store that gets that traffic, and then maybe you put some stuff on eBay. You deserve more than that. And that's my goal. I'm getting there. I'm not there yet, but I'm loving the support, and I'm loving the conversations I'm having with people. I think we have over 120,000 things on the site now, so it's growing, and 80 athletes on the Athlete Direct. So got an auction platform, which now gives more people an opportunity to sell their stuff on a bigger platform. So it's been fun. It's been a challenge. It's like, we used to work in, it's like, I remember when I worked for Hyatt Hotels, there was a light bulb out, you called engineering. There was a problem, there was somebody for everything. It was like
Not in a small
500 room
business.
hotel. Then I went to go work at a Holiday Inn. The light bulb's out. There's a closet over there with light bulbs, and there's a ladder over there, and figure it out, bro. And I'm like, that's so. But it's kind of humbling that way. But I really learned so much, Leighton, on the tech aspect. More hands-on, talking to customers. So I don't have all those layers, and it's been really enlightening. And actually, I feel it's been a great learning experience.
I'll tell you, even though you and your team has shared with me a little bit about Collectible Exchange, this is really the I would say the best handle I've ever had on exactly what's going on over there. And so I would tell you, I wouldn't hesitate. If I'm making it up, I have so much stuff, and that's really what it comes down to. We all have so much
Exactly.
stuff. And so, like, why do I consign to REA? Why do I give something to Heritage? Yes, I'm friendly with them. Yes, I have relationships. But let's be honest, everyone needs cash flow. You need cash flow as a collector. You need cash flow as a dealer. You need cash flow as someone who's a professional baseball card treasure hunter like myself, or as an investor. There's no one that doesn't need cash flow. And so what I like what you're doing is you're really creating an interesting environment for basically anything and everything sports related. Doesn't have to just be cards, and it really doesn't have to just be straight sports memorabilia. It could be an artist who's try to figure out how to get their way and get their products marketed. But I believe that one of the I'm sorry, I don't know if we just lost you. Well, we'll wait for Brandon to come back. But one of the things I think that's great about Collectible Exchange, and once again, if you have any questions for them, drop them a line at collectibleexchange.com, is the ability for collectors with vast collections of whether it be 3 baseball cards, 6 signed baseballs, you got 8 jerseys, and to sell all of that yourself on eBay would be tough unless they're all worth like $1,000 and higher. Many auction houses would take those types of items and group them up. And so hopefully, by working with Brandon and folks from his team, be able to get the most you can out of selling your collection. Oh, great. Oh, you're back. Wonderful. Yeah, I was just explaining to people, Brandon, that I think just because I'm speaking from my own experience, I believe we have a lot of people in our community that have between, let's say, a dozen and 250 items that they are great. But other than putting them into Excel and saying, hey, Leighton, this is what I have for sale, it's not that easy to execute and sell them. And one of the nice things also about your platform is I like being able to sell some things at auction, but then if you have some things, whether it be it's either illiquid, it's rare, or simply if I don't get $800, it's going to break my heart. I'll be very upset. And I know you're not looking to make anyone upset. So, the fact that you have this multi-tiered approach, I think is very useful for collectors. And it's probably something that eBay could have used for a long time. And hey, listen, maybe you've heard it here first. We'll come back to this show one day, but eBay should buy Collectible Exchange as it becomes bigger, because really that's what eBay's missing is, these stewards, these folks that have expertise in our field that can help add that extra marketing and that extra TLC that's needed to get the most out of these items.
And guidance. I think that people take for granted. We've now been doing this a while, but it's not as easy peasy. You're somebody, your dad passed away, they left you a bunch of stuff, or you just have an overabundance of stuff. And the problem with collectors is God forbid they collect one Mickey Mantle card. They gotta have 100. You gotta have 100 Shaq cards, God forbid you got one. You know what I mean? Like I got like 50.
Not enough.
I bought 900 Shaq rookie cards back in the 90s because I just loved them and it was a sending card. I don't know why I did it, for $6. I have probably 100 signed Derek Jeter cards because I love Derek Jeter. Every time I was with him, I'd ask him to sign a couple cards. But now what do you do with that? You can't sell all 100 at one time. So my site allows you to put up a few at a time, the price you want. I think it's really needed. I feel like eBay really had a great opportunity with us, with the collectors, but there's no guidance, there's no regulation, there's there's always going to be some people that come on not doing the right thing. And we're constantly trolling the sites, trying to find people that are not doing the right thing. So it enables the people that are doing the right thing to do better.
No, listen, I think that's great. One thing I wanted to ask you, I'd be remiss if I didn't, for our audience, and I personally would love to know as well, what is one of your top favorite, forget about how much money you made on the event or on a project, but what meant the most to you as far as in your heart or in your soul? What project or what event was the most exciting or meant the most to you through the years?
I mean, certainly, back in my mantle signings, every time I was with Mickey was great. And he was such a great signer, so articulate. Like, for a big name, he cared about how his signature went. He cared about the inscriptions. Muhammad Ali was a mind blower. To spend time and have a 4-year relationship with him was unbelievable. The team projects was a real breakthrough. Like, I always feel like value is what you can do for someone they can't do for themselves. So as I was building the business up, I was like, if you really wanted to get somebody's autograph, you kind of could, but it'd be hard to go get a team to sign something. So I started doing the team partnerships where I would sign a whole team up and do a reunion. I was the first to do that back in the 95, 96 with the Giants. Then I did the Yankee World Series. Then I started just doing all kinds of team reunions. And collectors love that because it's hard to go get 40 guys on a football team together one weekend. And I really got on a roll. Then I started doing 3,000 hits. I started doing 5,000 strikeouts, and all that stuff.
I love it. I was just going to shout out to my friend Monty, who's part of our team here. So per what you just said, Monty's been chasing down the 96 Yankees for like 20 plus years, and his wife is ready to leave him because if he does not stop his obsession, she's basically going to say it's either the project or, like something's got to give. But I want to get back to Ali and Mantle for a minute because obviously there's not many people who've had the good fortune, forget about to do business with them, but to be with them intimately. Tell us something quirky or funny. Like, I know you're saying that Mantle really cared about his signature and his descriptions. Like, tell us a little bit more about that. How do you know? Like, did he get pissed off if, he was being rushed or he scribbled his name and he didn't like the way it came out? Tell us something a little bit behind the scenes.
Like, as far as Mantle or anybody in particular? Like, Mantle was
Mantle
like, Ali, what's that?
Mantle or Ali, yeah.
Well, with Mantle, like, we were signing something and at a show and he screwed up an item. And I mean, it was incredible how bad he felt because he didn't sign it correctly. And he was so apologetic and really said, would you mind if you would buy another photo? I'm going to sign. I'll even sign it better. Like, he took such pride, and he was the only player to ever come to me at the end of an appearance and say, "Brand, are you good? Is there anything else I needed to do? Did I miss anything?" He was always the players looking at their clock. I got to go. Like, you good? I'm like, who is this person? And
where do you think that came from, Mickey? Like, where do you think that came from for Mickey? Because of everything he had been through in his career, he started to be so appreciative later. Like, what do you?
I think he was appreciative. The money was starting to get really good. I think he liked me, and I think he really wanted to do a good job. I think he cared about the fans. That he wanted to give them something that they remember. I think he really knew how important he was. He was one of those guys, not liked, and not even loved, but beloved. You know what I mean? Like, people name their dogs after him. They name streets after him. Sure. There are some players that just get to that level. Like, I remember Walter Payton, the first signing I did with him, and this is before I even got in the memorabilia business. I was doing this marketing stuff with Walter. I said, Walter, would you do this one signing for this collector? Brandon, I don't do that. I don't do that. So I don't really do that either. But so we fly to Chicago. I finally convinced him because I was relentless. And we walk in this hotel room. It's like a Holiday Inn. And I'm telling you, maybe there was room for us to walk into the room. It was packed with stuff. He's like, I'm not doing this. I'm out. I'm like, I need that commission. I'm like, please. He says, I'll tell you what. If you can keep up with me, I will keep signing. You fall behind, I'm out. What's amazing is I think he signed 1,400 items that day in less than an hour, which I think is a record. I mean, I've never seen anybody. I was drenched, just trying to keep up, moving everything around. And what ended up happening is when Walter got sick several years later, we did about 20,000 items when he knew he was going to die. And that was like one of the big things that put me on the map. And he really was generous. I mean, if you ever have any of that Walter Payton collection, inscriptions, we did stat stuff, and we did the best that I could that I knew at that time. That was in 1998, 99. We were putting it all together. We had organized that for 18 months prior to passing. So we were just doing the best we can. We're early on to the business. So, you know, Ali was one of those weird guys because we'd be signing, and all of a sudden he would just stop and lay down, and then all of a sudden he'd be signing. You know, I mean, the guy was just constantly. But the first time I was with Ali, I was with a friend of mine, John Gowan, who's a big collector in the early days, especially putting stuff on Home Shopping. And I got to spend a full day with not a big agenda, helping and really getting into every fight, what you did the night before. It was really before the Parkinson's that really kicked in. It was more in the earlier 90s. And it was just an amazing day that I'll never forget. You know, we're talking about Joe Frazier, just talking about everything. And he was a very generous guy, Ali, most generous human being I probably ever met because there were no boundaries. He was constantly traveling. I would run into Ali and all kinds of places, would always stop, talk to me. You know, sometimes athletes, they just big time you, even if you are paying them. I felt he was extremely generous to the world, and he had a purpose for being here.
Well, it sounds like you yourself have had a wonderful journey. And I want to make sure that I mention, and we're going to, of course, do some other really exciting stuff together. So right now, brought to you by Collectible Exchange and, of course, Vintage Breaks, we have a very exciting, as our audience knows, the 1969 Topps Basketball Separate, headlined by the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar rookie in a PSA 8. Look for other future breaks that we're going to collaborate on in the future. And I know, Brandon, we just touched upon this recently offline, but this Saturday, I just agreed upon a deal with Goose Gossage. He's going to be breaking some packs and talking baseball cards, and who knows what else will come out of his mouth on Saturday morning at 10 a.m.
No question.
But he's going to join me and to talk turkey on Saturday, and we're looking forward to welcoming some people from the Collectible Exchange and Athlete Direct family, so we can work on some breaks together and you know, bring them to our audience here at Vintage Breaks and to your audience as well.
First of all, you're going to love Goose. I mean, I've been working with him for years, and there is no film. I just want to tell you a quick story about this unbelievable Jabbar set that we're breaking, right? The Jabbar rookie card.
That's amazing.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, yes.
So what's crazy about this is I'm buying my kids card supplies because we're big card collectors and we're doing deals with trading card companies and everything, and there's cards all over the house, and my wife is complaining. So I go to a local card store, you know, to buy these hard plastics, you put it in and all that stuff. And the guy's like, Brent, I know you love old school basketball. I got these couple sets in. One of them's like a 69, you know, top set, whatever. I love the big cards. I have no idea what they're worth. He says, I just need a Derek Jeter ball. If you give me, and you know, I had Derek Jeter signed exclusively. Bring me a Derek Jeter signed ball. I'll give you the set. So they were sitting in my drawer up until like about 6 months ago. When I saw that that card sold for a 10, sold for $1 million. So I'm sitting there.
Oh my God.
I got a Derek Jeter ball into the set. I'm like, and I love those cards. I would never even think of selling them, but then I was like, oh man, maybe I got to. Sure. And then I met you, and they said, man, we got to break them up. So that made sense.
No, and then you were smart. We got a few of them graded. You got the Jabbar, you know, as an 8, and honestly, it's one of the nicest 8s I've ever seen. And I'm going to do a blog on this, you know, this week. To tell the story from today's show. It's pretty cool. I can see it. Oh, there we go. Well, we'll give Brandon a minute to see if he comes back. You know, he was gracious enough to spend almost a half hour with us today, and we very appreciate it. So we'll see if he can join us to finish up our show. But while we're waiting for him, Don't forget, this Saturday, we're going to be doing a break with none other than Yankee Hall of Famer Goose Gossage at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. There are still some spots available. They're $19.50 per spot. It will give you a chance to win a Goose Gossage signed baseball or his rookie card in a PSA 8 or one of the spots in our National Treasures 2021 baseball box, and a bunch of other great prizes. Check out the break on our website at vintagebreaks.com. Also, this weekend at the Philly show, you can check out all of the athletes. My friend Joe Drellick and his team doing an amazing job there. They're going to have dozens of athletes. PhillyShow.com. And because yours truly loves basketball, and of course, the 1980s, I've worked out. We're not doing a break, but we're going to do an interview. And Spud Webb was gracious enough to give us a few minutes of his time. And I'm lining up my questions and making them in order as to how I'm going to ask them on Saturday. So once again, thank you for joining us today, Brandon Steiner, as well as PhillyShow.com. This weekend, don't forget to check it out. This is the 23rd episode of Trading Card Therapy. I'm the doctor, your host, Leighton Sheldon. Thanks for joining us.